What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video from the 10-7 MMA channel. And of course, this video is about Caio Borralho, who you see right there on the screen. And it says pants on fire. I've been wanting to make a video about this for a while. When I first started listening to Caio Borralho and his interviews, I was really intrigued by him. It was somebody that he's part of the fighting nerds. He's taking fighting very seriously, treating it like a science, breaking it down, being obsessed with it. And I love to see that commitment to the sport. And I was really feeling optimistic about his future in the UFC and in the middleweight division. But there is something that has been going on, a trend that I've been following that seems to continue. And that's with his interviews and him continuously, for whatever reason, saying things that are absolutely not true. I don't understand what's going on. I'm not necessarily here to judge it, but I want to point it out. You guys can let me know why you think this is happening. What's his purpose? But I've actually been asking other folks, like, what is going on? Why is he doing this? Is he just straight up like kind of being just generally prone to being deceptive, or is he doing this for a particular ulterior motive to get clicks? What's going on? I've been asking people like MMA Guru, MMA Joey, etc. on their streams, and they just think, nah, he just saw that he was making stuff up and getting headlines, so he decided to keep doing it. I don't know if that's what the motivation is. I just wanted to point it out because it's been 3 times now where he's been completely exposed as like manufacturing stuff. And I don't even think it's about headlines. To me, my perception is that he just makes stuff up. I don't know. It's really weird. But I thought I'd share this story and you guys can weigh it for yourself. Obviously, it's not like the worst thing in the world, but it's kind of humorous. I will not be believing anything he has to say about rumors or things like that going forward. And I think you'll agree with me after you see these 3 instances back to back, all very recent. All right, let's get into it. So the first thing that popped up on my radar, and I was thinking maybe there was still some truth to this, because if he's making this allegation and DDP is denying it, it could also be DDP just being like, I don't want people to know my injuries and I don't want this fight called off. I still want to fight and it's nobody's business what's going on. So, but this was the first thing that he went out there on a limb and said and made a bold, specific statement about DDP's purported injury. If you guys remember, it was actually Kevin Iole who first reported that DDP was injured and the fight was being delayed. So it didn't come from Caio, but he added on to it. And he gave some specifics and some reasons why he knew intricate details about the nature of the injury, all this stuff. So anyways, he kind of went out on a limb and said, yeah, I know what's going on. And yeah, DDP came out and, like I said, refuted it later. But anyway, so this is the first of 3. If you look at this in isolation, you can be like, well, maybe DDP just didn't want to disclose it. Maybe Caio did know some things. But then when you look at it back to back with the other 2 instances I'm going to show you, I think he's just like completely making stuff up. All right, so here's the backstory. This is where it first began on Submission Radio. This interview of Caio Borralho. Listen to what he says here about DDP.
Okay, so after that, of course, we got the big news, right, about DDP being injured. First of all, where did you learn about DDP being injured? Was it just off the internet like the rest of us, or were you hearing something in the back end? How did you learn about DDP potentially being
actually,
injured?
I think 2 people a little bit, I don't know if close to him or to his team or in his town, I don't know. 2 people messaged me, said, oh, did you see the DDP got injured? He broke his leg in half. And all that.
What?
And I was
broke
like,
his leg?
Yeah, people are saying that. I think it's some shin problem. He was kicking somewhere and broke his shin. I don't know. Actually, I'm not sure about it. I just heard about it. People said there's actually articles about it. I said to them to send me, and actually they both said like, oh, I think they erased the article because they're not confirming this yet. I think they don't want this to, come out and stuff like that. And then I saw the Khamzat Twitter that he's saying like, this guy's biggest bullshit. And then I was like 100% sure that he was injured. So I took my time here. I was like, I think no one would want to fight Khamzat. I'm this guy.
Okay, so it's like, now that I'm listening back to it, I can't even believe that I gave it any credibility, because I totally missed that the first time I watched it. I actually made a video about him saying this. I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. Is this true? Obviously, I wasn't convinced, but I thought maybe there was something to it. Caio's a fighter in the middleweight division. He's up there in the top 10 at the time still. So I thought maybe he did know some things, and I did give it some legitimacy. But now looking back at it, he goes, yeah, I don't know. I told them to send me the articles, but then maybe they got deleted because it didn't want to get put. Like, that doesn't happen. You can't just, or somebody's going to grab that. the day and age we live in now, if something's out there, you can't really retract it. I mean, unless you have nobody watching it. Okay, fine. But that should have been my #1 red flag. All right, so that's him talking about this crazy story, people messaging him and whatever. He knows people. Now, listen to DDP. He refutes this just like the week before his fight against Khamzat Chimaev when he was talking to Ariel Helwani. And you can hear what DDP has to say in response to Caio Borralho. Check this out.
Can I ask what happened a few months ago where it seemed like all these middleweights were saying like, oh, interim fight and I'm going to step in. And then you came out eventually and said like, there is no injury, there is no date. But it was, do you remember this? There was all this talk online of all these guys saying like, let me step in, let me do this. What was that all about?
Yeah, I mean, it was, I think it all started with Caio Borralho, who went like, he has a guy in my camp that said I'm injured. And I went, what? You know nobody in my camp. What do you mean? And that was firstly, and everybody just went with it. The media, that was actually a nice, good jab to the media saying, listen, guys, why don't you check your sources? And then everybody was like, Chick is injured, out for a year. I had no injury whatsoever. I immediately saw it when it came out that Caio Borralho said that. And on purpose, you'll see it was about a week where I did not comment one thing.
You just kind of let it fester.
I went like, go crazy. I want to see where this ends.
Yeah.
And, you know, when it was time, I already knew, me and the UFC already spoke, that I knew that I had to fight. I already knew that this was going to happen. So I was really enjoying all the rumors. Everybody, oh, just in, Dricus is injured, this happened, this happened. I was like, guys, that is not at all true. So then they wanted to do an interim title. An interim title, I fought 3 times in the past 12 months. I literally fought 3 months before that. Now you want to do an interim title? Are you insane? Are you insane? That was just desperation from all the guys in the back that want to get, you know, touch gold, even if it's just interim.
So let's just rewind that just a little bit and think about it. So one thing I will say is the original reporting came from Kevin Iole. I've never seen Kevin Iole make a mistake. And so all I want to say is, I do really still think that they were trying to get that fight for International Fight Week. I'm not saying, I just don't think the details that Caio added had any legitimacy. I wouldn't be shocked if there was something that prevented him. Maybe it wasn't even an injury. Maybe it was just he needed a longer camp. I don't know what it was, but I do believe also if you look at Khamzat's tweets, he was mad. So I think they were trying to get it teed up for in June. They ended up having to push it to August. I still have a feeling that Dricus didn't say anything because there was some truth to it, and he just wanted to sit by and figure out a game plan and whatever because people were upset. But the added thing of the broken shin, I think that even Caio said at one point, he broke his leg in half or something. He was kicking something. It couldn't have been that severe. Obviously, if he's saying that in June and then they ended up fighting in August, there's no way he would need more time to recover. I would think, unless it's a hairline fracture or something like that. So, anyways. My point is, was this complete fabrication? I don't think we know 100%. Also, it's Kevin Iole, who's one of the most trusted journalists in the game. And so I think that whether or not there may have been some truth or not, I don't know. I think there probably was something to this. But I think what Caio added was pure fabrication. I think we can tend to agree on that. You're going to agree with me even more after we go through a couple of other examples. All right, so the next example is this. On the heels of 319, Caio had this to say, which was, and it freaked me out because I'm a huge Khamzat fan. I was so excited for this fight. I'm like, okay, finally we can begin the Khamzat Chimaev era. Let's go. And then listen to what Caio said. I was so upset that maybe there was a 5% chance even of this being true. And I hadn't come to this conclusion yet that Caio just seems to lie constantly. But anyways, listen to this, and then we'll see Khamzat's response afterwards.
I heard somewhere some people saying that if he wins the belt, he's going to retire. And
I don't think so.
I think
you
so.
heard that is it something that people are talking about?
Some little talks.
Oh wow.
Some whispers,
okay.
You know, some whispers about that. Like if he wins the belt, he retires, you know. Like I'm not sure of that. I don't know if I believe that or not, but it's an option, you know. There's too much pressure on him. Too much pressure.
He has a lot of health problems too, right?
Yeah, health problems and a lot of pressure from his country. And I don't know. Maybe he retires, maybe not.
Wow.
I don't. He has a lot of money already. like a lot of money. He's good with money, you know. So there will be no something that is gonna make him like, no, I want to fight. You know, he'll be already the champion. So why not retire? I would do the same.
Yeah.
I would do the
Talking
same if I
about
was him.
retirement.
With his money that he has and all that. If I won the belt with all this money, I would do the same maybe. Yeah.
You know, that expression, thou doth protest too much. It feels like he's just trying to build on to that narrative so much. Well, and you know, it kind of makes sense because of this and this and this. And also I might do the same in that case. It's like, no, you could just say what you heard and leave it alone. But he's trying, it's almost like justifying it. It's now all making sense to me in retrospect as I think back about the things that he said on repeat or whatever. And then you look at his facial expressions. I love to have a body language expert look at his face, but man, it really feels like he's exhibiting some sort of deceptive behavior. That's my 2 cents. And that's what it feels like to me now as I watch him concoct this random story. Now, of course, fans were panicked. This is not what we wanted to hear, but Khamzat did an interview shortly after that interview, because again, it got headlines, probably why Kyle keeps doing it. And Khamzat had this to say in response.
You know, there's this rumor out there that if you win the championship, that you will retire. Have you seen this?
Yeah, I seen the Caio said, I don't know where he's hear that things. So I need money, bro. This is not enough just to go for the one title. So I hopefully, if not get some injury or some stuff, they're gonna fight for defend the belt or fight for other belt in Abu Dhabi as well.
Mm-hmm. Did Caio just make this up completely, or are there days where you do say like, man, I could really do without all of this? Is there any truth to it at all, even, you know, just consideration?
No, I didn't talk about these things with someone, so I don't know where it's come from for him. But yeah, always you have something in your mind. Maybe you can be the finish, you know, like you get tired in training camp, you get hurt, some surgery, and why I'm doing this minor, this doing all the athletes, you know. So, but 1, 2 days, you want to go back and work hard and fight somebody and make money.
Mm-hmm.
That's everyone does. It's my job. The best thing I know I'm do right now. I'm healthy, I'm young, so gonna fight.
A very gentle response, not going out and being like, yeah, I have no idea. He's making it up. He's a liar. He's like, well, hey, you know, we all have our days, etc. Sometimes you have hard days, easy days, and those thoughts creep into your mind. I mean, that's probably such a common thing for all UFC fighters. But again, his response, I think, illustrates that Caio, and even Caio, the way he sets it up, like I said, now you can see, I think he's just completely fabricating stuff. But you can tell Khamzat never, like, he's making stuff up out of nowhere. All right, now, if that's not bad enough, that's 2 examples. Now we get to the 3rd example. He's saying some craziness about Robert Whittaker. Check this out on the Submission Radio interview. Check out Submission Radio for the full interview if you want to hear it. Whoops.
And then he went back to Twitter and he came up with some ideas. He said Imavov is running, Whittaker is running, so there's only one guy on my mind, Anthony Hernandez. What about we fight? I'm 7 straight wins, you 2. So get ready to get finished. Caio Borralho.
Yeah,
you had a lot of coffee that morning. You were drinking coffee, just tweeting. First of all, before we get to Hernandez, what happened with the Robert Whittaker fight? Did that fight not happen? Was it offered?
Yeah,
what happened with that fight?
I think he said no too, you know. He said no too. He wanted like to fight Strickland or other guy. I don't know. I think he's gonna fight the Leedsy. I don't know, but he said no too.
Right. Wow. No one wants to fight you.
Okay, so there it goes. He said Whittaker said no too. He's claiming that he turned down the fight, which wouldn't really make sense based on the rankings. Like, why wouldn't he want to fight Caio Borralho at this point? And Whittaker then comes on Submission Radio and says just that. And oh shoot, that's not supposed to say I'm not retiring. But anyways, he's disputing basically what Caio says, and basically he just says, I never said that. I don't know what the heck he's talking about. Check it out.
He kept telling me that, you know, he was offered you and you turned him down, and then you took the RDR fight. Just clear that up for us, man. Were you ever in talks to fight Caio Borralho?
No, not once. I was never offered him. Do you really think I would have been offered him and I would have said no?
Of course not, bro. You fought Yolmer twice.
Yeah, there's just, but let alone like, yeah, I'm not like RDR was much. It's not a ranking thing, obviously. RDR much lower than myself as well, and like numerous people before that. It's yeah, I just wasn't offered him. You know, nothing against him. Maybe he's been fed misinformation, but yeah, I was never offered him. Honestly, I've spoken on it a fair bit. I wasn't offered anybody. I thought for the longest time I was going to be fighting Delidze. Okay. And then that just kind of disappeared. And I was still prepping for that moment, but at that time, and it just kind of disappeared. And then on the back of that, they were just like, boom, you want to fight RDR? After RDR just beat Bo Nickel. And I was like, yeah, yeah, I'm looking for a fighter. I'm around. So yeah, no.
There it is. Never happened. And listen, as I give my final thoughts, do you guys ever know Robert Whittaker to ever lie? He's one of the most honest guys in the sport. He just speaks the truth. That's why I love their show so much. MM Arcade. It's the best. He gives honest, open feedback and thoughts and whatever, pretty much straight up, always right down the middle. So who are you going to believe, Caio or Robert Whittaker? Those are my 3 back-to-back examples. I don't know what's going on with Caio Borralho. Does he think it's funny? Is he trolling people? Is he doing it to get headlines? I guess if he's doing it to be funny, it's not my cup of tea. I don't like it. I just don't like in general this kind of fabrication and putting stuff out there that's completely incorrect. And then for what purpose? So it's not my cup of tea. I will, sad to say, probably will not be tuning into Caio's interviews anymore because it's just, I don't know. It's just not my thing. Just be real, be you. I always talk about how authenticity is what draws me to particular fighters, to root for them, to watch their interviews, etc. And when it's like this type of thing that's happening on the regular, it's not my cup of tea. Other people might like it. Other people might find it interesting, find it funny. It's obviously getting headlines, so it's having some effect. I think long term, it's probably going to have a negative effect. But anyways, hey, if he wins, he wins. You know, winning solves everything in this sport. So I guess it doesn't really matter. And maybe for the time being that he's getting these headlines, it's helping him out. So anywho, that's my 2 cents. I think he's got a streak or a knack for just making things up. Was he always like this or just take on the strategy now? I don't know. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you agree? Have I convinced you that Caio seems to be a repetitive, non-truth teller, or do you think something else is going on? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you guys so much for joining. We'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.